Today we're going to look at the two most important tools to learn anything behind the drums. And you've already got them built in. It's your mind and your muscles. I'm going to show you how you can put your brain to work for you solving drum patterns and train your muscles to play them without even thinking about it. Then towards the end, we'll look at what I think is the most crucial brain function of all when practicing or playing drums, your mindset. So let's get into it right now. When I'm trying to get my hands and feet to cooperate playing some weird pattern that doesn't make any sense, I slow down a lot. As drummers, we have a lot going on behind the drum kit. 2 feet, 2 hands, the pulse of the tempo, remembering what's coming up next in the song. I've got my drums that are trying to slide off the riser, and we can't focus on all of them individually at the same time. Fortunately, my brain's on my side. It wants to make sense of things, get as much on autopilot as possible, so I can put my focus on the feel of the music, the voice of the groove. When we learn something new, neurons physically connect and we actually change our brains. Crazy, right? The more we do something, the more solid the connection becomes. It's called synaptic plasticity. So let's get your brain working for you. I have to slow it down to a point where I can consciously think through it. Right, left, kick, snare. But no matter how weird it is, if I go slow enough, I will be able to figure it out. So this applies to exercises that I'm playing with just my hands, just my feet, all 4 limbs behind the drum kit. Let's say that I'm starting off with a rudiment that I'm just playing with my hands. I can slow things way down. I've got 2 hands to think about, and I can get through that. Right, left, right, whatever it is. My brain is starting to think, oh, you actually want to be able to play this? All right, let me solve it for you so that you can start to hear the pattern as a whole. My brain will start to relate what my right hand is doing with my left hand. Once I start to be able to get my hands and feet to do whatever it is I'm trying to do, I have to stay slow. I have to give it some time to get burned in there. I have to give my brain an opportunity to work and sort things out for me. The goal here is to get it automatic on autopilot and sped up to the tempo I need to play it at. My hands will sometimes do that weird thing where they want to cooperate with each other because we do. We ask our hands and our feet to do a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. My hands want to work together. My feet want to work together. They don't want to work opposite each other. They don't want to have conflict. If it's a pattern that I'm trying to play behind the drum kit, I've got all 4 limbs going. Typically what I'll do is start with one of my limbs that is going to be the least complicated and the most continuous. It's not going to change. So maybe 1/8 notes on the hi-hat or the ride. I have 1 limb going on autopilot. Now I can start to bring in a second piece of the puzzle. After I run through it a bunch, my brain starts to figure out a way to relate things in my mind so that I can hear it as one voice. Those are starting to relate to each other and sound like one pattern. Now I can start to bring a 3rd component into the mix. Then I have to wait for my brain to sort out how those 3 things relate to each other. Then I begin to add in another. Then I can add my 4th limb in. Eventually my brain starts to work it out. At that point, I'm not thinking through what each of my limbs is trying to do at the same time. I can't do it. I can hear the voice of the rhythm. I can hear each part of it. I can only focus on one thing at a time. Now this could take minutes, hours, days, weeks. With drums, we have a lot to learn at the very beginning, but fortunately, all these things that I learned along the way start to build on each other. This process can be grueling, but eventually I will get it. I haven't found one single thing behind the drums that I can't do if I do it at a slow enough tempo. Then it becomes a matter of how hard am I willing to work to get good at that exercise. All right, we'll be back to the brain in a moment, but while all of this is going on, guess what I'm doing? I'm building muscle memory. That is the second key to learning absolutely anything behind a drum kit. When you tie your shoes, are you thinking about it? Or does your brain say, tie the shoe, and your hands do it because you learned how to do it a long time ago? So there you go. Muscle memory is a lot like tying your shoes or clicking the subscribe button. In this case, when we're playing drums, my brain is telling my muscles to hit things with a stick. We do have the best job in music, and that's all that drumming is. It's training the muscles to do things automatically. And the only way that I've found to burn in muscle memory is practice. It's spending hours playing the same thing over and over. Yes, it can get tedious, but that's the whole thing that practice is for, is to train the muscles. Every beat, rudiment, lick, anything I play on the drums requires this. And I have to continue to practice. If you don't use it, you lose it. When your muscles do what you ask them to do and you don't have to think through it, then you've achieved muscle memory. Now let's look at what I think is the most crucial brain function of all, mindset. So when I'm practicing and I've been having trouble with a rudiment cue, every time I start to approach those in my exercises, I start to think about the last time I played them and I think, oh man, I'm really having a hard time with rudiment cues and I can't seem to get rudiment cues. It doesn't make any sense. My left hand, my right, they don't want to work together and it's just so, I suck at playing rudiment cues. If I keep telling myself that, I'm programming my brain to think that I can't ever play rudiment cues. The mindset that I like to have when I'm practicing is when I run into something that I'm having trouble with, if I slow it down enough, I will be able to play it. Eventually, if I keep practicing, I will get it. Sound familiar? Learning to play anything behind drums is absolutely 100% a game of patience and practice. All right, I've got a couple quick quotes that are really helpful in my life. The first one is from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he always says, "You become what you think about all day long." That's that self-programming. I'm no good at rudiment cues. I always stub my toe when I walk past the dishwasher. Here's one from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And there's one more. Everything you tell yourself is a little wish that's gonna come true. Okay, that's me. I tell my daughter that all the time. Okay, get in a good mindset. Click here to get into the next lesson and I will see you over there. And remember, mind, muscles, and music. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.